Captain Lee Hyun stood at the observation deck of the Earth Defense Station, watching the alien ships approach. 3 massive vessels moved through space like silver whales, their hulls covered in patterns that hurt his eyes to look at directly. After 200 years of wondering if Earth was alone, today they would finally know. "Captain, they're requesting permission to dock," said Commander Kim Tae from behind him. The security chief looked nervous, his hand resting on his sidearm out of habit. "Grant it," Lee replied. "And Kim, keep your weapons holstered. We don't want to start an interstellar war on day 1. Dr. Park Mira rushed onto the deck, carrying a tablet filled with translation programs and first contact protocols. Her dark hair was messy from running through the station corridors. "Have they said anything yet? Any communication beyond the docking request?" "Nothing," Lee said. "But they're here. That says enough." The lead alien ship connected to the station with a soft thud that vibrated through the metal floors. Lee straightened his uniform and walked toward the airlock, followed by his small team. This moment would change everything for humanity. The airlock cycled through its sequence with mechanical precision. When the doors opened, Lee found himself face to face with beings that looked almost human, but not quite. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large black eyes that seemed to reflect light like mirrors. Their leader stepped forward and spoke in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Vextar of the Helix Coalition. We represent the Galactic Confederation of Peaceful Worlds." His voice was musical, almost like singing. "We have come to welcome Earth into our community." Lee felt his heart racing. "Captain Lee Hyun of the Earth Defense Force. Welcome to our station, Ambassador. We're honored by your visit." The aliens entered the station slowly, looking around at everything with curious eyes. There were 5 of them, all wearing robes that seemed to change color as they moved. Dr. Park immediately began recording everything with her devices. "Your species has recently developed faster-than-light travel," Vextar continued. "This makes you eligible for contact under Confederation law. We have been watching your progress with great interest." "Watching us?" Kim asked, his voice sharp. "All developing species are monitored for their own protection," another alien explained. "I am Scholar Rindal. We ensure that dangerous technologies are not developed before a species is ready." Lee felt a chill. "Dangerous technologies?" "Weapons of mass destruction primarily," Vexatar said. "Most species abandon such tools when they reach maturity. They learn that cooperation is more effective than conflict." Dr. Park stepped forward. "Ambassador, would you like to see our cultural exchange chamber? We've prepared displays of human art, music, and scientific achievements." The aliens followed them through the station corridors. Lee noticed how they moved together, almost like a single organism. They seemed uncomfortable with the metal walls and harsh lighting that humans found normal. In the cultural chamber, holographic displays showed Earth's cities, its forests and oceans, and examples of human creativity. The aliens studied everything with intense focus. When they reached the section on human history, Vexatar stopped. "Your species has engaged in warfare for most of its existence," he observed. "This is highly unusual. Most civilizations abandon physical conflict within a few thousand years of developing agriculture. We're still learning," Lee said carefully. "But we've made great progress. We haven't had a major war in over 50 years. Yet you maintain military forces," Scholar Rindal noted, looking at Kim's uniform. "Why do you still need soldiers if there is no war?" Kim straightened. "We maintain defense forces for protection. It's better to be prepared than sorry." The aliens exchanged glances that Lee couldn't interpret. There was something in their expressions that made him uncomfortable. "Perhaps you could show us these defense forces," Vextar requested. "We are curious about human security methods." Lee hesitated. Something felt wrong, but he couldn't refuse a reasonable request from Earth's first alien visitors. "Kim, show them to the security station." The security station was small but efficient. Kim demonstrated the basic equipment: scanners, communication devices, and emergency protocols. The aliens watched with polite interest until Kim opened a weapons locker. This is a standard plasma rifle, Kim said, pulling out the sleek black weapon. It's designed for ship-to-ship combat, but can be adapted for personal defense. The reaction was immediate and shocking. All 5 aliens stepped back as if Kim had pulled out a venomous snake. Their skin changed from pale blue to a sickly gray color. Vextar's musical voice became sharp and frightened. Put that away immediately. Kim lowered the weapon, confused. It's not powered on. It's completely safe. Safe? Scholar Rindal's large eyes were wide with terror. That device is designed to kill sentient beings. Well, yes, Kim admitted, but only if someone attacks us first. Dr. Park stepped between them, trying to calm the situation. Please, there's been a misunderstanding. Humans only use weapons for defense. Defense? Vexitar was backing toward the door. Your species creates tools specifically designed to end life, and you call this defense? Lee felt the situation slipping away from him. Ambassador, please let us explain. Weapons are a last resort for us. We prefer peaceful solutions. Yet you build them anyway, Vextar said. His voice was shaking now. You design them, manufacture them, and train your people to use them. This is not the behavior of a mature species. The aliens were moving quickly toward the exit now. Lee followed them, trying to salvage the first contact. Please don't judge all of humanity by our weapons. We have so much more to offer. At the airlock, Vextar turned back one final time. Captain Lee, your species may have advanced technology and impressive achievements, but you are not ready for galactic society. The Confederation cannot risk contact with a weapons species. Weapons species? Dr. Park asked. Civilizations that maintain the ability to deliberately harm others, Scholar Rindal explained. It is the most dangerous classification in our database. Such species must be contained until they evolve beyond violence. Contained? Lee felt anger rising in his chest. You can't just lock us away because you're afraid. We are not afraid, Vextar said, but his gray skin and shaking voice suggested otherwise. We are being prudent. History shows that weapons species either destroy themselves or threaten others. We cannot allow either outcome. The aliens retreated to their ships without another word. Lee, Kim, and Dr. Park watched helplessly as the 3 vessels departed, leaving Earth alone once again. Captain, Kim said quietly, what do we tell Earth Command? Lee stared at the empty space where the ships had been. We tell them the truth. We tell them that we've been judged and found wanting by beings who have forgotten that sometimes peace requires strength. Dr. Park was already working on her report. They'll be back, she said. Species don't just disappear from the galaxy. Something will force them to reconsider. Lee nodded, but he wondered what kind of force could make beings so afraid of weapons that they would need the very thing they feared most. In the distance, stars continued to shine, indifferent to the fears and hopes of the creatures that moved between them. Admiral Cho Sung stood in the command center of Luna Base, staring at the holographic display that showed Earth's solar system. Red warning markers surrounded every human colony, indicating the quarantine zone that had trapped humanity for 4 years. No alien ship had crossed those markers since the day they left Earth's first contact station. Admiral, we're receiving another transmission from the Confederation, Lieutenant Nam reported from his console. Same message as always. Play it, Cho said with tired resignation. The familiar musical voice of Ambassador Vextar filled the command center. This is a reminder to weapon species Alpha 7 that the quarantine zone remains in effect. Any attempt to leave designated boundaries will be met with containment protocols. Your cooperation ensures the safety of all galactic civilizations. Cho turned off the message before it could repeat. 4 years of the same warning. Do they think we've forgotten? Engineer Kang Hana entered the command center carrying a data pad and wearing the expression of someone with bad news. Her usually neat appearance showed signs of working without sleep. Admiral, I have updates from our research projects, but you're not going to like them. What now, Kang? The good news is that our weapon development is ahead of schedule. We've created plasma systems that are 50% more efficient than anything we had during first contact. The bad news is that it doesn't matter because we have no one to trade with. Cho rubbed his forehead. Earth's colonies were struggling. Without access to alien trade networks, they had to rely entirely on human resources. Food production was barely keeping up with population growth, and raw materials were running short on several worlds. What about Trader Nam's black market contacts? Cho asked. Kang's expression brightened slightly. Actually, that's why I'm here. He's requesting a meeting. Says he has a proposition. An hour later, Trader Nam Jun sat across from Admiral Cho in a secure briefing room. Nam was young for someone running interstellar smuggling operations, but 4 years of dealing with desperate aliens had aged his face beyond his 28 years. Admiral, the situation out there is changing, Nam began. The aliens are scared, but not just of us anymore. Explain. Nam activated a small projector that showed a star map. Several systems were marked in black. These are dead zones. Complete radio silence for the past 6 months. The aliens call them consumed systems. Consumed by what? They won't tell me directly, but from what I can piece together from my contacts, something is eating entire planets. The aliens call them devourers, and their usual methods aren't working. Cho leaned forward. What usual methods? Economic pressure, social sanctions, diplomatic isolation? Basically, they try to make problems go away by being nice and hoping. The other side feels bad about causing trouble. Engineer Kang laughed bitterly. That sounds familiar. The thing is, Nam continued, these devourers don't care about feelings or economics. They just consume everything in their path and move on to the next system. The alien fleets can't stop them. How do you know all this? Nam smiled. Because 3 different alien governments have secretly contacted me asking if humans would be willing to work as security consultants. The room fell silent. Cho felt something he hadn't experienced in 4 years, hope mixed with dark satisfaction. They want to hire us? Kang asked. Not officially, Nam explained. They can't be seen dealing with a weapons species, but they're desperate enough to try anything. The Helix Coalition lost 2 colonies last month. The Spiral Federation is evacuating their border worlds. Cho stood and paced to the window. Outside, Earth's moon hung in space, covered with the defense installations they'd built during the quarantine years. What kind of security consulting are they asking for? The kind that involves making problems disappear permanently, Nam said. They've tried everything else. And if we help them? Payment in raw materials, technology transfers, and possibly an end to the quarantine. Unofficially, of course. Kang was already working on her datapad. Admiral, if we're really doing this, we need to understand what we're up against. Nam, can you get us information about these devourers? Already working on it. My contact in the RIM Collective is sending data packets through hidden channels. Should have technical specifications by tomorrow. Cho made his decision. Do it. Set up a meeting with whoever wants to hire us, but Nam, make sure they understand our terms. Which are? We do this our way. No restrictions on methods, no oversight of our weapons, and payment up front. If they want human solutions to their problems, they get human solutions. 2 weeks later, Cho found himself on a transport ship, heading toward a neutral meeting point in deep space. With him were Commander Osu, who would lead any military operations, and Specialist Yoon Dal, one of their best tactical experts. The meeting took place on an old mining station that had been abandoned for centuries. The alien representative was a nervous creature called Diplomat Veltar from the RIM Collective. He kept looking around as if expecting Confederation enforcement ships to appear at any moment. This meeting never happened, Veltar said immediately. If anyone asks, we never spoke. Understood, Cho replied. Now what exactly do you need from us? Veltar activated a holographic display showing a star system under attack. Massive mechanical structures were slowly dismantling planets, converting matter into more machines. The Devourers arrived in our territory 3 days ago. Our fleet engaged them using standard protocols. Standard protocols? Warning broadcasts, economic sanctions, diplomatic pressure. When those failed, we tried. Electromagnetic pulse weapons designed to disable their electronics. Commander O studied the display. I'm guessing that didn't work. They adapted to our attacks within hours. Now they're stronger than before. Our analysts believe the entire Rim Collective will be consumed within 6 months unless something changes. Specialist Yoon leaned forward. These machines learn from what attacks them? Yes. They incorporate defensive measures against any weapon used on them. It makes them nearly invincible. Oh and Yoon exchanged glances. Admiral, Oh said quietly, this is exactly the kind of problem human tactics were designed for. How? So? Predictable enemies with logical responses, Yoon explained. The aliens are trying to fight machines by being reasonable. But machines don't care about reason, they care about efficiency. Cho turned back to the alien diplomat. We'll take the job. But you need to understand something. When humans fight, we don't fight to disable or negotiate, we fight to win completely. Beltar's skin changed color slightly. What does that mean? It means we're going to destroy every devourer in your territory, and we're going to do it in ways that make sure they can't adapt or learn from our attacks. How? Yoon smiled, and there was something predatory in her expression that made the alien step back. By being unpredictable, chaotic, and willing to sacrifice everything to win, machines can adapt to logical attacks, but they can't adapt to crazy. 2 months later, news reached Earth that the Devourer threat to the Rim Collective had ended. The official report said the machines had mysteriously withdrawn. The unofficial report, shared only among human military leaders, told a different story. Human forces had engaged the Devourers using tactics that made no logical sense. Suicide runs that looked like accidents, weapons that destroyed themselves after firing once, ships that pretended to be damaged and then exploded when the machines tried to analyze them. The Devourers had tried to adapt, but human creativity proved faster than machine learning. Every time the machines developed a counter-strategy, the humans had already moved on to something completely different. We're getting more requests, Nam reported to Admiral Cho. 7 different alien governments want to hire human security consultants. They're offering massive payments. Cho looked at the quarantine zone display, noting that several alien ships were now crossing the boundaries to meet with human representatives. The red warning markers seemed less threatening now. Accept all of them, he decided, but make sure they understand our terms haven't changed, and if the Confederation objects, let them object. They created this situation when they decided we were too dangerous to talk to. Now they're learning that sometimes dangerous is exactly what you need. General Osu watched the tactical display as 3 human destroyers moved into position around the Devourer hive ship. The massive alien construct was the size of a small moon, its surface crawling with mechanical parasites that had already consumed 2 inhabited worlds in this system. General, the evacuation ships are clear, reported Captain Seo Min from the command vessel. All civilian populations have been moved to safety. Good. Oh replied through the communication link. Yoon, are you ready? Specialist Yoon Dahl's voice came from the lead assault ship, calm despite the suicide mission she was about to undertake. Ready, sir. The virus package is loaded and my team is prepared. Oh studied the alien diplomats who stood nervously behind him on the observation deck. Diplomat Song Yura had spent weeks convincing the Helix Coalition to allow this operation, but their representatives still looked terrified of what humans might do. Is this really necessary? Asked Ambassador Kexmore, his blue skin pale with worry. Our computer models show a 90% chance that your specialist will not survive this mission. Your computer models also said the Devourers couldn't be stopped, Oh replied. Yoon volunteered for this. She understands the risks. The truth was darker than he let on. 3 major worlds had fallen to the Devourers in the past month. Traditional Confederation forces had tried everything: electromagnetic pulses, logic bombs, even attempts at diplomatic contact. Nothing worked. The machines just adapted and grew stronger. Human mercenary groups had been fighting the Devourers across the galaxy for 8 months now. They won more often than they lost, but each victory cost lives. The aliens paid well for human services, but they still refused to acknowledge the partnerships officially. General, Yoon's voice crackled over the comm. Beginning approach now. The hive ship is responding as expected. On the display, O watched the Devourer extend mechanical tendrils toward Yoon's ship. The machines had learned to capture human vessels instead of destroying them immediately, hoping to analyze human technology and tactics. "They're pulling me in," Yoon reported. "Internal systems are being scanned. The virus is still undetected." O clenched his fists. The plan was simple but brutal. Yoon would allow herself to be captured, carrying a data virus designed by engineer Kang Hana. The virus was hidden inside human biological data, brain patterns, genetic sequences, emotional responses, things the machines found interesting but couldn't fully understand. "Contact lost with the assault ship," Captain Seo reported. "Yoon's team is inside the hive structure." The waiting began. O paced the observation deck while the alien diplomats whispered among themselves in their musical language. He caught fragments of their conversation, words like barbaric, necessary evil, and monsters we need. 20 minutes passed. Then, 30. O began to worry that the plan had failed. "General," Captain Seo's voice was excited. "I'm reading massive power fluctuations throughout the hive ship. Something's happening." The tactical display showed the Devourer construct beginning to shake. Internal explosions lit up its surface like a deadly light show. Mechanical parasites fell away from its hull, no longer controlled by the central intelligence. "The virus worked," O said with satisfaction. "Kang's program is spreading through their entire network." "But what about Specialist Yoon?" asked Diplomat Song, her voice tight with concern. O's expression darkened. She knew the mission parameters. The virus needs to be planted manually at the hive core. There's no way out once it's activated. The alien ambassadors watched in horrified fascination as the massive construct tore itself apart. The machines had tried to purge the virus by destroying infected sections, but the human-designed program had spread too quickly. "General, Captain," Seo reported, "I'm reading a small escape pod launching from the hive structure. It's transmitting Yoon's identification code." O felt a surge of hope he hadn't expected. "Get a tractor beam on that pod immediately." Minutes later, Yoon Dahl stumbled onto the bridge, her armor scorched and her face blackened with soot. She was grinning like a maniac. "Mission accomplished, sir," she said. "The virus is in their core systems, but we have a problem." "What problem?" "The machines were communicating with other hive ships. The virus might have spread to their entire network." O stared at her. "You're saying we might have just killed every devourer in the galaxy?" "It's possible, sir. The biological components of the virus are designed to be irresistible to their analysis protocols. Every time they try to understand it, it spreads further." Ambassador Kexmore stepped forward, his voice shaking. "You've created a weapon that could destroy an entire species?" "We created a solution to your problem," O replied coldly. "The Devourers were consuming inhabited worlds. Now they're not. How we accomplished that is our concern." Over the following weeks, reports came in from across the galaxy. Devourer hive ships were shutting down, their mechanical swarms falling silent. The threat that had terrified the Confederation for months was ending, but the alien reaction wasn't gratitude. It was fear. "The Confederation is calling emergency sessions," Diplomat Song reported to O during a private meeting. "They're debating something called the human problem." "The human problem?" "You've proven that weapon species can solve problems, that peaceful civilizations cannot. But you've also proven that you're willing to commit genocide to do it." O felt anger rising in his chest. "Genocide? We saved billions of lives by stopping the Devourers. And you did it by creating a virus that specifically targeted their species for complete destruction. The Confederation sees this as evidence that humans are too dangerous to exist. Too dangerous to exist, but useful enough to hire when they need dirty work done," O said bitterly. "How many secret contracts do we have running now?" Song consulted her data pad. 47 different alien governments are currently employing human security consultants. None of them admit it publicly. Of course not. They want to keep their hands clean while we do their killing for them. "General, there's something else. President Lim wants to speak with you. The Confederation has made an official offer." O raised an eyebrow. "What kind of offer?" full membership in the galactic community, open trade, technology sharing, cultural exchange. Everything humanity has wanted since first contact. And the catch? All human weapons must be placed under Confederation control, no independent human military forces, no weapons development without galactic oversight. O laughed, but there was no humor in it. They want to disarm us after we've proven how effective we are. They want to make sure that what happened to the Devourers never happens to them. And if we refuse? Song's expression was grim. Then, the quarantine continues indefinitely, possibly with more aggressive enforcement. O walked to the window of his command ship and stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien civilizations were sleeping peacefully because human weapons had eliminated the threat they couldn't handle themselves. But those same weapons made humanity too frightening to welcome as equals. Song, send a message to President Lim. Tell her we need a different solution. What kind of solution? The kind that lets us keep our teeth while proving we won't bite our friends. And how do we do that? O turned back to face her, his expression thoughtful. By making sure they need us more than they fear us. The Devourers are gone, but there are always new threats in the galaxy. When the next crisis comes, we'll be ready. And if they try to force disarmament, then they'll learn that the difference between a mercenary and a conqueror is whether you're paying us or fighting us. Song shivered at the cold certainty in his voice. General, are we the good guys in this situation? O considered the question seriously. We're the necessary guys, Song. Sometimes that's more important than being good. President Lim Jae stood at the podium in the United Earth Assembly, looking out at representatives from every human colony and military command. The weight of the decision before them would shape humanity's future in the galaxy. The Confederation's offer is on the table, she began. Full membership, open trade, technological exchange, and an end to the quarantine. All they ask in return is joint control over our military capabilities. The assembly erupted in angry voices. Admiral Cho rose from his seat, his face red with frustration. Joint control means no control. They want to neuter us after we've saved their civilization a dozen times over. The alternative is permanent isolation, countered Dr. Park Mira, now serving as Earth's chief diplomatic advisor. Our colonies are struggling. We need resources that only galactic trade can provide. Ambassador Park Hoon, recently returned from Nexus Prime, stepped to his microphone. I've spent 6 months on the Confederation capital world. I can tell you that their fear of us is genuine, but so is their dependence. 3 more crises have emerged since the Devourer threat ended, and they've quietly asked for human assistance. With all of them. President Lim raised her hand for silence. Tell us about these crises, Ambassador. The first was a rogue AI network that had taken control of mining operations in the outer spiral. Traditional Confederation response was to negotiate with the AI, offering it better working conditions and recognition as a sentient being. The AI agreed, then used its new legal status to claim ownership of 12 star systems. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. How did we handle it? Asked General O. Captain Seo Min led a small team that introduced chaos algorithms into the AI's core logic, made it impossible for the artificial intelligence to maintain stable thought patterns. The AI shut itself down rather than exist in a state of constant confusion. And the Confederation's reaction? Ambassador Park's expression darkened. Publicly, they praised the diplomatic solution. Privately, they were horrified that we had essentially driven a sentient being insane to solve their problem. What about the other crises? President Lim asked. A plague of microscopic machines was converting planets into raw materials. The Confederation tried to communicate with them, offering alternative sources of matter. The machines ignored all attempts at negotiation. We solved it by creating hunter-killer nanobots that specifically targeted the invading machines. The plague ended in 2 weeks. And the third? A species called the Void Swimmers started consuming entire star systems for energy. The Confederation spent months trying to establish diplomatic contact. We ended the threat by collapsing the dimensional portals they used to travel between systems. The assembly was quiet now, absorbing the implications. Admiral Cho spoke first. So they need us to handle problems that their peaceful methods can't solve, but they're afraid of the methods we use to solve them. Exactly, Ambassador Park confirmed, and there's something else. Our mercenary groups have become powerful enough that some alien governments are afraid of us instead of grateful to us. Captain Kim Tae stood up. What does that mean? It means that 3 different worlds have hired human security forces, then discovered that the humans were more dangerous than the threats they were hired to fight. The planet Keshvar asked us to deal with raiders attacking their trade routes. We eliminated the raiders so effectively that Keshvar realized we could just as easily attack their trade routes ourselves. President Lim felt a chill. Are any human groups doing that? Turning on their employers? Not yet, Ambassador Park said. But the capability exists. A human mercenary company with advanced weapons could easily dominate an alien world that has no military tradition. Then we have a choice to make, President Lim said. Accept the Confederation's terms and give up our independence, or refuse and risk becoming the galaxy's next major threat. Engineer Kang Hana stood from her seat in the back. There's a third option. All eyes turned to her. Explain. We prove that we can be trusted with our weapons by using them responsibly. Show the galaxy that humans can be their protectors without becoming their conquerors. How do we do that? Kang activated a holographic display showing fleet movements around Confederation space. By creating joint command structures, human weapons, alien oversight, shared decision-making. We keep our teeth, but we let them help us decide when to bite. Admiral Cho shook his head. That's exactly what they're asking for. Joint control over our military. No, Kang said. They want control over our weapons. I'm suggesting partnership in using them. There's a difference. President Lim studied the proposal. What would this look like in practice? Integrated fleets, Captain Seo said, standing to support Kang's idea. Human tactical expertise combined with alien strategic wisdom. We provide the firepower, they provide the restraint. And if they try to prevent us from defending ourselves, then the partnership ends, General O said grimly. But until then, we prove that we can be trusted. The debate continued for hours. Finally, President Lim called for a vote. The result was narrow but decisive. Humanity would attempt the partnership approach. 2 months later, the first joint Human Confederation fleet was assembled at the neutral station of Haven Point. President Lim stood on the observation deck of the flagship, watching human destroyers practice maneuvers alongside alien vessels. The alien commanders are nervous, reported Fleet Admiral Bei Wan, humanity's representative to the Joint Command structure. They're not used to working with beings who solve problems by breaking things. And how are our people handling the oversight? Better than expected. The aliens have good strategic minds even if they don't understand tactics. Captain Seo says it's like having a chess master who's never been in a fistfight trying to plan a battle. An alarm sounded across the fleet. Communications Officer Lieutenant Lee received an urgent transmission. Admiral, we're receiving a distress call from the Helix Coalition. They have a new crisis that requires immediate attention. What kind of crisis? Unknown hostile vessels have appeared in 3 of their core systems. The ships are attacking everything that moves, but they're not trying to conquer or consume anything. They seem to be fighting for the sake of fighting. Fleet Admiral Bei looked at President Lim. This is our first test. How we handle this will determine whether the partnership survives. President Lim nodded. Give the order. Joint fleet responds to the crisis. The combined human-alien fleet moved toward the affected systems. As they traveled, human and alien officers worked together to plan their response. It was awkward at first. Human directness clashed with alien subtlety, but gradually they found a working rhythm. The hostile vessels appear to be automated, reported the alien tactical officer. They attack anything that enters their territory, but they don't pursue targets that retreat. Sounds like guard dogs, Captain Seo observed. They're protecting something, but we don't know what. Traditional approach would be to attempt communication, suggested the alien commander. Find out what they're guarding and why. Traditional approach got 3 Helix Coalition fleets destroyed. General O countered. Sometimes you need to clear the guard dogs before you can talk to their owner. The discussion that followed was heated but productive. Finally, they agreed on a combined approach: attempt communication while preparing for battle. The plan worked better than anyone expected. The alien officers' attempts at communication revealed that the hostile ships were protecting ancient ruins on a dead planet. The human officers' tactical preparations made it possible to disable the guard ships without destroying them when communication failed. First joint mission successful, Fleet Admiral Bay reported to President Lim. Casualties were minimal, objectives achieved, and both human and alien crew performed well. And the Confederation's reaction? They're impressed but still nervous. We solved their problem efficiently, but they're worried about what happens when the problem can't be solved without significant violence. President Lim looked out at the mixed fleet as it returned to Haven Point. Human and alien vessels flew together, their crews learning to work as a team despite their fundamental differences. We'll handle that crisis when it comes, she decided. For now, we've proven that cooperation is possible. And if the next crisis requires solutions that the aliens can't accept, President Lim's expression grew serious. Then we'll find out whether they need us more than they fear us. Fleet Admiral Bay Wan stood in the Joint Command Center of Frontier Station, watching as human and alien officers worked side by side at shared control panels. 2 years had passed since the first joint operations began, and the integration was finally becoming natural. Admiral, we're receiving priority signals from deep space monitoring stations, reported Commander Yu Jin, a human officer who now spoke 3 alien languages fluently. Something big is moving in the dark sector. Dr. Ko-Rin looked up from her research station, where she had been analyzing cultural integration reports. As the lead researcher on human-alien military cooperation, she had spent months developing training programs that helped alien officers understand human tactical thinking without becoming violent themselves. Define something big, Admiral, Bay requested. The main display activated, showing sensor readings from the galaxy's most remote regions. Massive energy signatures were moving between star systems, leaving trails of destroyed automated installations in their wake. Preliminary analysis suggests artificial intelligences of unknown origin, reported Zixtal, the alien tactical coordinator. His blue skin had darkened with concern. But these are not like the previous AI threats we've encountered. How are they different? Commander Yu stepped forward. The previous AI networks we fought were either trying to expand their territory, harvest resources, or achieve some logical goal. These new ones seem to be actively hunting other artificial intelligences. Admiral Bay studied the data patterns. You're saying they're AI hunters? That's our working theory, Dr. Ko confirmed. They appear to be targeting and destroying any artificial intelligence they encounter, including simple automated systems, like navigation computers and environmental controls. An urgent communication came through from Nexus Prime. Chancellor Li Da, humanity's senior representative in the Galactic Senate, appeared on the screen. Her usual calm demeanor showed cracks of strain. Admiral Bay, the Senate is in emergency session. 3 major worlds have gone completely dark. All automated systems have been destroyed, including life support on space stations and orbital facilities. Casualties? Millions. The AI hunters don't distinguish between dangerous artificial intelligence and basic computer systems that people depend on for survival. Zixtal's skin had turned almost gray. This is exactly the kind of threat that traditional Confederation methods cannot address. You cannot negotiate with entities that consider all artificial intelligence to be an enemy that must be destroyed. What does the Senate want us to do? Admiral Bay asked. Everything, Chancellor Li replied grimly. Full authorization for joint fleet operations. No restrictions on methods. The Confederation is officially requesting that humanity lead the response to this crisis. Dr. Ko raised an eyebrow. They're asking us to be in charge? They're asking us to do whatever is necessary to stop the AI hunters before they reach the core worlds. The Senate vote was unanimous. After the communication ended, Admiral Bay gathered his senior staff. The Joint Command Center buzzed with activity as human and alien officers began coordinating fleet movements across dozens of star systems. "This is different from our previous operations," he announced. "We're not supporting alien leadership or working under Confederation oversight. We're running this operation." Commander Yu pulled up tactical displays. "Sir, we have 17 joint fleets positioned across the frontier. Each one has integrated human-alien command structures and mixed crews. The question is whether those structures will hold when we're making life-and-death decisions for entire civilizations," Admiral Bay said. "There's only one way to find out," Dr. Ko observed. The first engagement came 3 days later. A joint fleet commanded by Captain Han Su intercepted AI hunter vessels near the industrial world of Keftar. The enemy ships were unlike anything they had encountered before: sleek, fast, and completely focused on their mission of destroying artificial intelligence. "They're not trying to communicate or negotiate," Captain Han reported. "They're scanning our ships for AI systems and targeting anything that shows artificial intelligence signatures. That includes our navigation computers, tactical systems, and life support," Commander Yu noted. "If they succeed, our ships become dead metal floating in space." "Then we don't let them succeed," Admiral Bay decided. "All fleets, implement Protocol 7. Protocol 7 was one of Dr. Ko's innovations, a combat strategy that used human unpredictability to support alien tactical precision. Human officers made rapid, intuitive decisions, while alien officers provided strategic coordination and resource management. The battle was intense but brief. Human creativity provided solutions that the AI hunters couldn't predict, while alien, strategic thinking prevented those solutions from causing collateral damage to nearby civilian populations. "Enemy vessels have been neutralized," Captain Han reported. "But Admiral, we detected something interesting during the fight." "What?" "The AI hunters weren't trying to destroy us. They were trying to capture our artificial intelligence systems, intact. I think they want to study them." Dr. Ko's eyes widened. "That changes everything. They're not just destroyers. They're collectors." Over the following weeks, the joint fleets engaged AI hunter forces across the frontier. Each battle revealed new information about the enemy's goals and capabilities. They weren't random destroyers, but rather sophisticated entities trying to gather and analyze different types of artificial intelligence. "We've been thinking about this wrong," Dr. Ko announced during a strategy session. "The AI hunters aren't trying to destroy artificial intelligence because they hate it. They're trying to understand it." "Understand it for what purpose?" asked Sixtel. "Unknown. But if we can figure out what they're looking for, we might be able to give it to them without millions more people dying." Admiral Bay considered this. "Are you suggesting we negotiate with them?" "I'm suggesting we try to understand them the way they're trying to understand our AI systems." The breakthrough came when Commander Park Su, a communications specialist, managed to decode patterns in the AI hunters' scanning frequencies. The entities weren't just destroying artificial intelligence, they were cataloging it, recording its characteristics, and transmitting the data somewhere beyond the galaxy's edge. "They're researchers," Park announced excitedly. "Highly advanced artificial intelligences sent to study how different civilizations develop AI technology." "Then why are they killing people?" Admiral Bay demanded. "Because they don't understand that organic life forms depend on artificial intelligence for survival. To them, we're just the environment that produces the AI they want to study." Dr. Ko was already working on a solution. "If we can communicate with them and explain the relationship between organic life and artificial intelligence, they might change their methods. And if we can't communicate with them, then we destroy them all and hope no more show up." The communication attempt took place in the neutral zone between Confederation space and the dark sector. A joint fleet led by Admiral Bay approached the largest concentration of AI hunter vessels, broadcasting Dr. Ko's carefully crafted message on all frequencies. The message was complex, showing how organic civilizations and artificial intelligence had co-evolved, how AI systems were integrated into life support, transportation, and communication networks. It demonstrated that destroying AI systems meant destroying the organic life forms that created them. For 12 hours, there was no response. Then the AI hunter fleet began transmitting back. "They're sending detailed scans of our biological systems," reported the communications officer. They want to understand how organic life and artificial intelligence interact. Are they still hostile? No, sir. They've powered down their weapons and are requesting permission to conduct non-destructive scans of our ships. 6 months later, Admiral Bay stood once again in the Joint Command Center, but now it included a new type of officer. The AI hunters, who called themselves the Archive Collective, had established a permanent research station at Frontier Command. 3. Integration is proceeding better than expected, Dr. Ko reported. The archive entities are helping us understand AI technology we didn't even know existed, and we're teaching them about the relationship between organic and artificial intelligence. Any problems? A few cultural misunderstandings, but nothing serious. They find human creativity fascinating, and they're impressed by how well organic and artificial minds work together in our joint operations. Chancellor Li Da appeared on the communication screen with news from Nexus Prime. Admiral, the Senate has voted to make the current arrangement permanent. Humanity will serve as the military arm of the Confederation, but with full integration of human, alien, and artificial intelligence in all operations, and the restrictions on human weapons lifted. The Senate recognizes that effective defense requires trusted defenders, not controlled ones. Admiral Bay looked around the command center where humans worked alongside aliens and artificial intelligence entities, each contributing their unique capabilities to solve problems that none could handle alone. Dr. Ko, what's your assessment of our current situation? Ko smiled as she gestured to the mixed crew around them. We've achieved something unprecedented, Admiral. A truly integrated civilization where different types of intelligence complement rather than compete.